Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Well, I want to talk about a place that is dear to fly fishers, to bushwalkers and to conservationists, and which is being privatised, Madam Deputy Speaker, and that is Halls Island and Lake Malbina and Reg Hall's hut. So we're talking here about a public hut on a public island on public land which has been privatised, Madam Deputy Speaker. I have here a letter from the General Manager of the Parks and Wildlife Service, Mr Jason Jacoby, to Mr Nicholas Sawyer from the Tasmanian National Parks Association, which takes us through some of the history of these two leases, Madam Deputy Speaker, that were gifted to Daniel Hackett. The first lease was a temporary non-commercial lease over the hut, Reg Hall's hut, in 1957. In 1980, according to this letter, a family member of the licensee took over this agreement. The licensee then agreed for the current agreement holder to take over the licence and use of the hut in 2016. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, what Daniel Hackett's been given, of course, is two leases. One over the hut and one over the entirety of Halls Island at Lake Malbina inside the walls of Jerusalem National Park in the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area. And Mr Jacoby says, I am advised that the agreement holder is currently working to enable organised public access to the non-commercial lease area, being the hut. The commercial lease over the remainder of the island is contingent on the development obtaining all necessary approvals. If those approvals are secured, the lease affords the operator exclusive use. Madam Deputy Speaker, that's privatisation. Now, what do we have on Halls Island at the moment? Well, what we have on Halls Island is a camera set up in the trees on Halls Island. Madam Deputy Speaker, there's a picture of the camera. Are there any other such cameras in Tasmania's protected areas? And of course, the explanation from the Minister's office is that cameras have been installed on the island to monitor and manage the natural values. Madam Deputy Speaker, I call rubbish. That's rubbish, Madam Deputy Speaker. Are there any cameras anywhere else in the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area managing natural values in that manner? And Madam Deputy Speaker, what is this? This is a motorboat that is parked in Lake Malbina near Halls Island. For Hansard's purposes, I am describing here an actual motorboat that is covered in plastic that has clearly been choppered in to Halls Island.
What a boat cover.
So, well, there's a boat under there, Mr Ferguson, but if you want to deflect, you just go right ahead. And so what we have now is an island that's been gifted to a single private proponent. We don't know the lease arrangements, of course, Madam Deputy Speaker, because they're not public, but we know that each of these leases was transferred for the cost of $1. And what we know is that the lease fee is, and I read now from the actual lease, the Crown licence letter, in the interim, the original rental is still payable. Please find attached an invoice for the rental owing from the 1st of September 2016 to the 31st of the 8th 2017, totalling redacted, but definitely not more than a three-figure sum. Definitely not. Now, on the 7th and 8th of December this year, people who've loved Halls Island, people who've been going there for generations for the quiet enjoyment of Tasmania's wilderness and a bit of fly fishing, want to go in and reclaim Malbina. Around 400 people, Madam Deputy Speaker, have apparently signed up to go into there to reclaim Halls Island in Lake Malbina. They've written to Parks about it, and Parks, what a surprise. Parks has said, well, look, we're not going to give you permission to go to Halls Island because you'll have to talk to the lessee. That's Mr Daniel Hackett. So now we have to get permission from a private operator to go into our own national park to an island that's been fished by people for generations, where bushwalkers have been going for decades. Now we have to go and get permission from Mr Daniel Hackett, who was gifted a lease over the entire island. If the Minister for Parks wants to understand why people are so furious with him, including many Liberal voters, he just needs to have a think about that. Where the Parks and Wildlife Service is saying to the people who own that place, and this includes Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Tasmanians, no, you can't go there without Mr Hackett's permission inside the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area. Madam Deputy Speaker, that's a scandal. So we want to know why there is a boat now parked at Halls Island. Madam Deputy Speaker, we want the Minister to understand that when his agency says to bushwalkers and fly fishers, go and ask Mr Hackett for permission, that's completely unacceptable. And in the Parks correspondence, of course, they talk about a lease arrangement, but we don't get to see the leases, do we, Madam Deputy Speaker? No, we don't, because it was all stitched up behind closed doors through the Office of the Coordinator General, where there's one person and one company, Wild Drake Proprietary Limited, has been gifted a heritage hut and an island in the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area. Hey, that's not bad work if you can get it, Madam Deputy Speaker. If you can front up to this government and say, I've got an idea for a public place, and they just gift it to you as they've gifted the Bruny Island Lighthouse, Madam Deputy Speaker. Shame on them. Halls Island belongs to the people, Madam Deputy Speaker. The Walls of Jerusalem National Park belongs to the people, as does the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area. And this theft, Madam Deputy Speaker, of our common wealth, it will not stand, because the constituency that is furious about this privatisation of public assets is growing by the day. And people who are furious about the degradation of wilderness values grows exponentially with it.